Welcome back to Go on Shaw TV. Well, Rebecca Ulrich from the Red Cross is going to talk to us about Pink Day and bullying prevention in Manitoba. This year, 2016, Pink Day isn't just 2 days, but you're emphasizing that we should think about Pink Day as every day of the year, right?
Absolutely. So what we know is that bullying doesn't just happen on 1 or 2 days of the year. It can be something that is occurring at any time and for any age group. And so we really want the emphasis to be on having this conversation every day of the year.
So I did a lot of reading on the Red Cross website this week, and I was reading, the tips to prevent bullying are there. It's just the motivation to take those steps. They're simple, but the process maybe is not so much. So how do we get people to take those steps?
I think you bring up a really good point. We know that there's a lot of research out there that's telling us what are some of the things we can do. How do we get involved? How do we intervene? How do we stop bullying from happening? One of the challenges is that our emotions can get in the way of that. And so when we recognize that bullying is a relationship issue, we realize that very often what stops people from acting is fear about what's going to happen if they get involved. And so the really big focus around Pink Day, around our bullying prevention programming, is helping people get over the fear of not knowing what to do or how to do it. Practice that when they're not in the situation so that when it happens, they know how to respond.
And that could be for, not only educators and students, but community groups, workplaces. You're really encouraging everyone to do this, right?
Exactly. One of the things that we know is that we often see bullying as an issue that's happening amongst children and youth. And we know that that's true, but one of the realities is that children and youth are learning from us as adults. And so if we're not as adults modeling that respectful behavior, modeling how to get involved when something isn't going well or when someone's being disrespectful or when someone's bullying, then it's pretty hard for us to expect children and youth to do the same thing.
Now, I want to ask you about, the bare bones of this issue. What constitutes bullying? Because a lot of times another argument is like, it's part of growing up, it's part of daily life, we have to deal with it, but that isn't necessarily true. So what defines bullying, and how does it affect people?
It's probably one of the biggest myths that we have about bullying is that it's just a normal part of growing up. And I think as adults, many of us when we were young, that was what we heard from parents, from other adults. It's just a part of it, you'll grow out of it. One of the things we know about bullying is that's not the case. If we don't intervene on it when children are young, that behavior carries into the workplace, it carries into their families and their other intimate relationships and can impact them for a really long time. And so what really becomes important when we're defining the issue is that we recognize that there's a difference between bullying and aggression or teasing. And so bullying is that mean, intentionally cruel behavior that is a misuse of power. So in a bullying situation, we recognize someone's using their power to hurt or harm someone else. And so that person who's being targeted by bullying doesn't have enough power or influence to change the situation on their own.
It's really interesting. Well, we're going to be talking about Pink Shirt Day and all the events that the Red Cross does have coming up. There's 2 days this year, so we're going to be talking about all the events that you guys have coming up. But first, Kevin Hirschfield heads down to the Canadian Centre for Child Protection to get some tips on how to deal with cyberbullying.